Oh, I can't hear you. Hey, everybody. How you doing up there?
Hi.
Facebook and YouTube and anywhere you're watching. Hi from Madam and Millie Mac.
Hello.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about Lilith. She's what's considered a dark goddess, but I don't really think that she's that dark. I think she kind of got a bad rap. Kind of like when King Henry VIII wanted to divorce, Anne Boleyn. He made her out to be this slutty whore that slept with everyone, even her brother, and that, how could he possibly have anything to do with her? And then he moved it on to Catherine Howard. And so I think that it could have been something very much like that. He just wanted to be rid of her. So he made up all these people, about what a disobedient wife she was, and then gave him leverage to get rid of her. So maybe it could have been something like that. You just don't know.
Right. Well, it's
misogynistic.
yeah. We've been watching Lucifer on Netflix, and it's all about the devil. He's a fallen angel, and it talks about how they just brought Adam in. He's been in it for a while, but they just brought Adam in, and he was talking about how he supposedly still thinks of Lilith, even though he's got this perfect woman made for him who did everything that she was told and asked.
Right.
And what I get from it is that Lilith was created his equal.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that.
Exactly.
And she would do what he said and everything. So then she heads out,
Not his little plaything, not his obedient slave,
Yeah. And so then here was Eve, who did everything, right? Made from his side.
Right.
Good wife. Yeah.
She was so disobedient, though, in the end.
Yeah, because that they make that pretty clear in the movie. Yeah.
Sadly, she was kind of like me. They said, "Don't do it," so then she had to do it because it's just
right.
Well, I don't know what they said not to do, and I'm just gonna go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm that type of person too. If you tell me not to, I'm going to do it just to show you that I can.
Yeah. Sometimes not so much. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It comes off as disobedient sometimes, but oh well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose rules you're trying to follow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live by our own rules kind of people.
Right. And are there really rules that we should be following? This is my question. You're like, besides do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Right. Pretty much covered all of it right there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the golden rule, actually, is it, or is it, that's the golden rule, yeah.
And every single major religion has that same rule. It's maybe put in different words.
Yeah.
But every single one.
Yeah. And I think it's good, I mean, there's really not much more to be said past that,
Mm-mm.
So
no, there really isn't.
No, there really isn't. So anyway, then Lilith, she was then, supposedly chased out of Eden and down to the depths of hell.
Right.
So do we know what was her relationship with Lucifer? If she was a demon?
I don't know now. Because I have not really studied that a lot, but I know in this movie, this Lucifer movie, they were good friends, and I do believe that they do say that she is the queen of all the demons, that all of her offspring were then the demons of hell, if you believe in that philosophy, right?
Yeah. Hey, Charles. How's it going?
Hey, Charles. Yeah. So, what they said, what she would supposedly go and eat babies and drink their blood, and all these horrible things they said about her, and take advantage of the young men virgins and all this. I mean, they said a lot of nasty things about her.
Except for the baby stuff. That sounds kind of like a cougar, and it's really okay. back in history, there was always, like even in, early caveman times, there was the wise woman, and she would indoctrinate young men into the tribe, into manhood, so to speak, and tell them how to be a husband, how to be, how to treat women, how to, which they should have learned, through watching other men and how interactions in the tribe. But, she brings them to manhood, let's say. And so throughout history, there's always been a woman like that, and it's always been like a wise woman, someone who knew, things that would be valuable to that young person going forth,
Right. Yep.
Throughout history, they've always, if you were a wise woman, quote unquote, you just didn't get a very good rap in history. You know what I mean?
Nope.
I think they wanted to downplay the intelligence and importance of the role of women in society.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people fall at the feet of, those who wrote Christianity. Sorry, but that's what.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were the ones who wanted to dictate morality to us,
Exactly. I mean, like, I'm reading here, it says that she was actually like a Sumerian goddess. And listen to this, her lower half of the body was as a serpent. So she was a serpent with the head and breasts of a woman. And it says here that as the Jewish patriarchy took over the land, like they started conquering everything, they made her out as evil to keep people from worshiping her.
Wow. Yeah, see, that's the thing. You can demonize any goddess or god or anybody, if you just are the writer of history, as long as you are the one writing it down, you're the one that people are gonna look to,
Yeah.
And who were the keepers of history back in the day?
Exactly.
The church.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly right.
Down and they kept it, and a sacred text, Then it was that we have now as a reference for history and legend and religion,
Now I know like a lot of this is taken from the Kabbalistic religion, but right here it says that it's believed historically by the Hebrew history that once Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, Adam endured a period of celibacy as penance, and during this time Lilith was said to have caused nocturnal emissions from Adam, called a night hag, and she collected his semen and impregnated herself with it, giving birth to demons. These children of Lilith were called Lilin or Lilim, which are called night demons.
Yeah, so he had he had wet dreams and it was all that darn Lilith.
Yeah. And so like this goddess who had been portrayed as this Sumerian goddess of childbirth, right? Now they said she caused abortions and they caused women to lose their babies and murdered babies in their sleep.
So she went from one to the other, just like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think. She just got demonized in history for misogynistic reasons and because of, socio-political reasons, because if you keep, marginalized and out of a place of decision making, you can just pretty much do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
Like tell them they can't vote in an election.
Yeah.
Own property, things like that. Just little things.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately,
it was an attempt to keep power in of the patriarchal, leaders. So, but it's okay because things are swaying back the other way. At this point in history, and I think women are getting a voice, but I think we should use that voice because once again, men are trying to tell us what decisions we have to make with ourselves, and of course we can't just take that lying down. We have to say something. We have to organize ourselves, and we have to speak out against it. And we have to change the laws that are currently, being enforced on some people. So,
yeah.
And if you don't know what I mean, hit me up at skeletonkeywitches@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, well, we strayed from Lilith a bit, but she's, I think she's in our hearts when I say stuff like this, because
well, exactly.
Really, independence is what I think of when I think of Lilith. I think of independence for women. I think of being an equal partner in decision making in any man-woman relationship, in any situation, whether it be, as a group, organizing to make your neighborhood nicer, I think it's just a balance of power and not be marginalized anymore. We have voices and we should be heard because we're smart.
Yeah. And sadly, it seems everything is like that. I'm talking from government all the way down to children.
Yeah, even though
we're not allowed.
Our vice president is a woman, and it still seems like it doesn't really filter down, that women are subject to the laws that men have made for them,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly, I haven't really dug deep into everything that's going on with the whole overturning of Roe versus Wade, but I do know that what they're saying that in some states that if you miscarry, then they're going to charge you with murder.
Yeah. Well, it can be. It's a situation like this in the state of Alabama. You fall down the stairs and you have a miscarriage and you are terribly distraught, but your sister-in-law, who secretly hated you for years, says, I know she did this on purpose. Now they can press charges against you. They can send you to prison. They can, and these are all possibilities here. Not saying that that's exactly the scenario that would happen, for God's sake. However, the law leaves that open. And to me, that's just unthinkable.
It's like a witch hunt.
It is like a witch hunt. And I mean, in these, Southern Baptist, right-wing religious states, it is kind of like that. The Bible rules, and that's fine if that's what you want, but you shouldn't be able to impose that upon everyone. You know what I mean? Just because it's what you believe doesn't mean that it's what I should have to believe. And it doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong, or vice versa, That's what we call it, belief. It's not fact. It's what we hope and believe in.
Right. It's like the difference of, let's say you have somebody who's a Christian who has a cake shop, and they say they won't make a cake for someone who's gay and getting married.
Yeah.
Because it goes against their beliefs. Now, this gay person has a cake shop, and there's all these men and women getting married and having Christian ceremonies. That gay person is not going to say, well, I'm not going to make a cake for you because you're heterosexual. It has to go both ways, but people are so caught up with believing everything that the Bible tells them that they have to impose it on everybody else, which is that's a really sore spot with me because
and with being a witch, I don't push it on anyone. It's my personal belief, and the way I view the universe is my own personal belief, because not everyone and it's okay. I'm not expecting that, and I don't tell anyone else that their belief is wrong, because it's not. It might be true, Maybe I've been looking at it wrong all these years, but you know what? I'm going to just continue with that for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing, just, it's okay to be who you are, and, but it's not okay to force someone else to be you. Oh,
Yeah.
Bob's here with me. I have the bobber here.
Oh, hi, Bob.
Bob's here, and he's purring.
Yeah.
Bob, I'm so happy to see you. I really am. He's been kind of making himself scarce because, we have the new addition to the family. So Bob's not super happy, but he's accepting it. So he's been, but he's kind of making himself scarce, I think. So,
Yeah.
but he's a good guy, and so we're snuggling up here because it's not the warmest out here in the shop.
Yeah.
It's a bit on the chill side, but we're hanging.
Yeah.
Hey Charles, I was going to tell you if you have a chance, share the show, or any of our other viewers that are out there viewing, or if you're even viewing it in rerun, please share the show and give it a like, because that'd really be good for us.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were back to Lilith.
Yeah.
Do you ever appeal to Lilith when you're doing spell work or anything like that?
I'm going to be honest and say that I did a healing once on a huge group I was on, and I brought the healing through from her, but that's only been once. Like, I've never, it took me a while to get past the stigma of who she was.
Right.
For one, having come from a Messianic Judaistic background,
right.
It took me a while to get past that. And so it's just been lately that I've even been like realizing who she really was. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, yeah. That's the way, that was the purpose, of all that, was that we wouldn't view her as what she really was, just an independent woman who refused to be, marginalized by men,
Right. And she was very comfortable with her sexuality, which was very, very bad to,
right. It didn't fit that Judeo-Christian, paradigm.
Right. And so I was looking this up. These are some of the ways to work with her. These are some of her symbols.
Body shame someone, it takes away from their self-confidence, which takes away from their magic.
It does. It really does. These are some symbols, I guess, that people get tattooed.
Okay.
Or embroider. Because I guess she's a goddess of the moon.
Well, and I think I'm a moon sign.
Yeah, and you're also an air sign, yeah. And it says that she's the spirit of the air, and that her name
with Lilith.
Yeah. Her name in Hebrew actually is synonymous with the word screech owl.
Okay.
And they say that's how she manifests, is as an owl guide.
Oh wow. And I have a great horned owl feather.
So see, there you go.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So some of the offerings that she likes are lilies, frankincense, dragon's blood, water, wine, tea, aphrodisiacs, doll babies, mirrors, hands, candles, images of owls, snakes, cats, dogs, bats, dragons, and spiders. Other intangible offerings like art, song, dance, poetry, sex, prayer, exercise, and more. And she actually rules sex magic.
Yeah. Well, then it's no wonder.
I know, right? I mean, this is all like lining up with who you are.
Yes, it is.
And to be a daughter of Lilith is synonymous with being a witch.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's all of that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right on.
Yeah, and it says also here that the bat is a very strong spirit animal with her. I guess part of it's because yeah, because she's associated with vampires. Like she's supposedly the mother of vampires. Now that's coming from the Judaistic idea that she went and drank baby's blood.
Right. Well, and I think wasn't it Anne Rice in her books? Doesn't she write about Lilith?
I don't know.
Like the mother of vampires. I think about that in like one of the, it might be Queen of the Damned, I think.
Okay.
That in that movie she talks about Lilith as the mother of vampires. Yeah.
Queen of the Damned. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
But I guess it does kind of make sense when you think of vampires, and they've become very popular in the last 20 years, but they're portrayed as immortal,
right?
Very always beautiful, right?
Uh-huh.
And all of that. And if you kind of compare that to her, she's that same energy, right?
Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna. Would you care for an oracle card today, Nellie?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so we're gonna go, and I think I'm gonna pick, and I'm gonna cut the deck right here for you, and it says patterns, and they're really pretty cards.
Aww.
So patterns is the card, and let's see. It says, it's in alphabetical order. A feeling that history is repeating. The patterns in your past, in your childhood, in your relationships, in your career are escapable. Stop and learn the lessons so that you can move forward. There's no need to mindlessly hit repeat. Look outside of what you know and break a cycle. Someone, perhaps the universe, is trying to tell you something. A unique response to a repeat problem is needed. From the flawless patterns of your spirit, a great light shines upon the world. You are a leader, a healer, an inspiration, a free spirit, unrestricted by the traditional thinking. A desire to be all you can be and a vision for your positive transformation draws you into deep exploration and clarity. Break free, reshape your destiny, and follow the spiraling, intertwining pathway of peace, love, and wisdom. The insight is curling tendrils, ornate snowflakes, and a giraffe patchwork. Nature is full of beautiful, simple complexity. Fractals are found in the far reaches of space and depths of the ocean, and within the human body. They are everywhere. Repetitive form makes fractals immediately recognizable. But like zebra stripes, peacock feathers, and cumulative clouds, each expression is unique. The spiral of our galaxy is echoed in the shells of the nautilus, and we are reminded of the connection between the immense and the minuscule. Nature's penchant for pattern, making it comforting. Nature's penchant for pattern making is comforting. It reassures us that there are no missed opportunities, that the thread of fate will swing around. Nature's patterns are responsive, intelligent, and have starting and completion points. Reliable but not predictable. You are a unique expression of spiraling DNA, but you are not limited by your patterning. You have all the time you need to understand the patterns in your world. You also have the power to change them.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig these oracle cards. They're really nice. And so, but you had something about Lilith. You had a oracle card.
Yeah. Well, this is the card, and the card says independence, just exactly like you said. That's what the meaning on this card is. So
that's definitely how I view her. When I'm feeling like a little too needy, or I just need to like stand up and do something that's hard and I've been avoiding it, I try and call upon her.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put her card up on my altar and just burn some incense and candles to her tonight, because I'm going through that whole thing, finally realizing that I can be independent and that I can assert my dominance, and that being walked. Yeah. And so it seems like she'd be a really great one to work with here. It says so this book, it says here about her, the Jewish goddess Lilith refused to be dominated by the first man, and as a result was called a demon in the stories about her that followed. These inaccurate and damaging stories are so old and repeated so often that no one recognizes how pervasive their implications are. From another perspective, Lilith offers this lesson. No one can prevent you from fully blooming, from learning all you can, from evolving and choosing freedom. Only your conditioned thinking can do that. Be proud, be accountable, claim your power, and hold it wisely. Right now, you are in an excellent position to attract healthy, interdependent, collaborative relationships that truly serve the highest good. Friendships flourish with mutual respect and support. Love relationships bloom with ample space for both parties to grow. Business ventures thrive in service to the greater good. The goddess Lilith wants to show you the way to claim a healthy self-worth and self-respect by refusing to let your old stories keep you down. You will be amazed at how deep, meaningful, and respectful your experience becomes in all areas of your life when you make choices from a place of empowered independence.
Yeah, that's good. And that's
and I know these are just depictions, but like she does hold like a lot of serpent energy and like the red wild hair, right? That you just when you look at down through time, what they said that the witches were the women with wild red hair, right? Like even in my family, there was a story that the red-headed aunt from down in West Virginia was a witch, right? And no one had anything to base it on. I think it's just that she had red hair, right?
And wild in spirit, and didn't let people tell her what to do. She was just kind of, masculine a bit in her energy, and I think that
independent
women who were somewhat masculine in their energy, and we're all of masculine and feminine, but some of us maybe are a little bit more masculine,
right?
But anyway, it's okay, and women who would be leaders, women who would be the wise women of the tribe, and they lost that through the ages, and women became marginalized, and just sit over there and look pretty, honey.
Right.
And exactly. It was like you'll give me that, you'll hurt yourself, you shouldn't be doing that, that's not women's work, that's not what girls do. Oh no, you can't, you couldn't, you can't do that, girls don't
right do yeah, like being talked down to, and like this thing of, well, that's a boy's sport, or that's a boy's hobby.
Because you're to the margin, it's like, no, stand out of the way, that's not for you, you can't do that.
Yeah. And while I do, like, I'm in a traditional relationship in my marriage. I stay home with the kids. My husband makes the money, and I do the cooking and the laundry. But
but it's what you want.
That's what I want. And I can appreciate the fact that he is stronger than me, and I have to go to him to open up the jar of pickles or something, but he doesn't like talk down to me or be like, no, you can't do that. I mean, that's the difference, is men understanding that they aren't supposed to do that to women.
I think it should be a partnership more than one ruling the other, and that whole business of meeting him at the door with his pipe and slippers and the dinner's on the table, or dinner's in the oven, honey, it'll be ready in a few minutes, here you go, and she's just as enthusiastic in the bedroom as she was in the kitchen, and
right.
that's her two places, the home and the bedroom, and then that's it, and he takes care of everything else, and don't you worry your girl head about it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And it's I think things have to change, and people have to be more, it has to be more of a partnership,
It does. And I think that guys need to be way more nurturing. Like that's like the main problem, is that they just aren't.
Well, they've never been shown how to do so,
No.
They didn't have any good examples of nurturing when they were growing up, perhaps, and so now they just don't know what to do. And I think that it's okay, but I'm not born with the knowledge of how to nurture another living thing. It's something that you kind of have to learn. Mm-hmm. Some natural instincts, but most of it is learned behavior,
Mm-hmm.
Don't come with a manual.
Yeah.
And you're all different, frankly.
Yeah.
It's like, even if there was a manual, you'd have to have about 50,000 appendices.
Right. Yeah.
And you just have to kind of go with it anyway, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
And it's not a gimme. It doesn't come easy,
Yeah. No. Yeah, because I think it's still that balance. Like, women need to learn to stand up for themselves more.
Yes,
and be more independent so that we don't feel like we have to rely on a man for anything.
Right. And I think it's a feeling of independence that I can do this for myself, no matter what this is. I can do things for myself. I don't have to be dependent upon anyone else, And I think that's what I like about that feeling of that Lilith gives me in my heart, is that, yes, I can,
Right.
I can't do anything. I can be independent. I can be thrown out of Eden and still make it,
Right.
I can go make my own Eden, That's
yeah.
what it was like, when I had my breakup of, in 2014. It was like, I lived on this, lovely farm, and it wasn't, paradise exactly, but it was nice. And so then, I'm living in a camper after that. And so I kind of was like thrust out of Eden. But you know what? Now where I live, and I've shown it on podcasts before, but it is like Eden here.
Right.
I created my own Eden, and I think everyone can do so. It's not easy, and it's not a gimme, and it's something that I work really hard and put a lot of time and effort into, but it can happen for anyone.
Yep.
And you did the same thing too. You did exactly the same thing, Nellie. You left to the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what, I've been really telling myself is, you know what? You made it happen. I mean, no one else made it happen but you. And it's like that this saying that goes around Facebook every once in a while, but it says, the only one coming to save you is you.
Right. That's
Jesus
true.
isn't coming to save you. God's not going to save you. All that's going to save you is you doing the work.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And that's, I think, what a lot of people overlook. It's like, well, I did my spell work, or I did this or that, but then I didn't do anything else really. And so then it didn't work. It's like, no, it wasn't the spell that didn't work. It was you that didn't work.
Right. Because, so many things that we self-sabotage, or we have blocks, or we don't change things up. And,
right.
It's like the main thing that I love about these dark goddesses is they're about chaos. They're about transformation. And if you don't like change, or you don't like chaos, then you probably shouldn't work with them, because when you do, your life's going to get tumultuous. That's the only way that there's going to be change.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And but sometimes you have to mess things up to straighten them out, like if you're doing organizational things in your house, a lot of times it's like you'll take everything out of the cupboard and the whole house is a total complete disaster, but then you'll wash it out and you'll get everything put back in all neat and tidy, and then it just is stellar,
right,
it's organized and tidy.
Absolutely.
And you have to organize.
Yep. And I think that's why witches are it's all about having your broom and cleaning out, right? And just lately I've been in kind of hermit mode. I'm hardly talking to anybody. My friends are all worried about me and stuff. But you know what I like to do? So our driveway, we have this long driveway, and there is a beautiful pin oak. And it keeps dropping acorns and its leaves all over my driveway. So I get the leaf blower and I just clean the whole thing off every couple days. And I'm like, this
for an hour with the leaf blower.
Yeah, it feels good. I am moving something and cleaning out energy. I'm out in nature, and I'm, just doing that. And I think that's why, as witches, that seems to be such an important thing.
Yeah.
Keeping the things swept out.
Yes, I think so. Because it keeps, it makes, like the law of attraction, if you push out that negative stuff, it leaves room for some positive to come in,
Exactly.
to come in. And so I think when you get out with the old, then in with the new, and if you don't get out with the old, how can the new come in?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in law of attraction, that you have to make room for things in your life, and if you don't, they won't happen for you. I always think of holding on to that guy that you really are not crazy about, but you think, well, I don't want to be by myself, and they're coming up or whatever,
Right.
or whatever it is, and so then you keep holding on to this guy who's just subpar.
Right.
So by doing that, now you put it out to the universe that that's what you deserve, that's what you're settling for, and that's what you want in your life. And
Right.
because you don't put them out, So if you're in a situation like that, I recommend highly that you just, be by yourself, explore yourself for a while, and then maybe when the universe thinks that you're ready, things will come to you that you need.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Hey, did you want a goddess card?
Yeah, sure. I think our audio screwed it up a little bit, but we'll get through it. It's only temporary. That's in life too, I think people have to remember everything is only temporary. Everything in life is temporary. That we're not meant to stay here forever, and that enjoy each moment when you can, because it is so temporary that it's done. So experience everything that you get a chance to, and make those connections. Never walk away from somebody and don't tell them how you feel if that's what you feel.
Yeah. But I don't know what. It seems like you always get the cards that are about fun and laughing.
Oh well, yeah,
you do. You got the Uzum goddess, and she's all about humor. And this card's talking about like using humor and laughing to like take off the edge of any stress.
Yeah,
and things like that. And honestly, they say laughter is the best medicine, but it is true.
It is true.
Right? Yep. Like, it boosts your energy, it clears negativity off of you. So if you're, I just really feel like what the message is if you are going through anything right now that you're kind of stressed about, or any worries, that you're really just going to have to release it by laughter.
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing is that you are so loved and so guided and so protected, and you're going to be okay no matter what it is. Yeah. So just laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I go with stuff most of the time. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that, though. Because, it is good. And it releases good endorphins and things like that, too. Feel good chemicals,
Right.
So, your body needs stuff like that to, just to heal and to transform and, just to utilize all that energy. Oh, yeah. Bob's nice and warm.
Yeah.
I love it that he's sitting next to me. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So, and our new little gal, she's awful sweet, Sally. Sally and Bob.
Aww.
That's parents' names, Sally and Bob.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it weird? Because I thought, well, I need a Halloween name for this little thing, and she, I was thinking, well, Sally was Jack's girlfriend,
Right.
So I thought Sally, and then I thought, well, I have Bob, and okay, that's Sally and Bob. Karen.
Right.
So I think it was, I was just channeling that one, I think.
Right.
So, yeah, then I have Sally and Bob with me.
Right. What color cat is she?
She's black. She's all black. And she's fluffy. She's so soft and fluffy. And her fur is like velvet. Just, she's so soft and pretty.
Aww.
And just sweet and cute, and she loves to cuddle, and she's really a sweet little kitty. So
Cool.
but she popped into my life, just like
Yeah.
every other pet I've ever had just pops into my life, They just hello.
Yeah. Those are the best kinds.
Yeah, I think so too. That's really the only way I get pets anymore. And I'm really only open to cats now. I mean, well, I have two, so that's more than enough. And I'm still trying to find my little dog a good home. If anyone out there needs a little dog, a nice little, white fluffy dog that is full of energy and love. And she's 8 years old and spayed, and she's just needs a good home, with no children and a best friend that would love her. Putting it out there to the universe.
There you go.
SkeletonKeyWitches@gmail.com.
Yep.
Yep. So
what are your Halloween plans?
Well, I don't know. I think I always dress up. I was going to dress up today, but I didn't take the time to dig it out. But I have, several costumes. It is my favorite holiday, so I'm sure I'll do something. But I haven't given it a whole lot of thought yet. I know it's like 2 days from now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so, it is. It's coming fast, but
that's why I'm just like, wow, okay, it's almost here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some, hats, and I do have a couple costumes, and just, I have just loads of stuff because, well, as a witch, I sort of have stuff around all the time.
Right.
That I don't ever really put away.
Yeah.
Black cat,
I think we got all the kids ready. They're all set, and then my daughter, they're dating. My 15-year-old, they're kind of dating, but they're not boyfriend and girlfriend yet, if that makes sense. But they're dressing as vampires, and she picked out his outfit and has it all coordinated. They're both like matching.
Nice.
And so then we're going to go trick-or-treating with his family for a while. And then we get to bring him and go trick-or-treating around our house. And
have fun.
Yeah, I think we will. And I'm just going to do the whole witch thing. And then my husband's got a whole dragon mask and everything. It's pretty cool. And he even got the contacts that make your eyes look like he's been walking around with red eyes that like glow. And
yeah. That's pretty
scaring cool. Everybody.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's really the whole point of Halloween.
Yeah.
Here's what you love. My mom had a plate, and so her two front teeth were missing, and so she'd pop out her plate and hide behind a door or something. She'd come by when I was a little kid. She'd jump out and go like she was a vampire. So yeah, I always have had a thing about vampires. So
yeah. Oh my gosh,
she was a prankster, really. She loved to play a prank, and that was fun for her. So
Yep.
I suppose that's where I get my little sadistic nature, especially so yeah.
Yeah.
Golly. But that's probably what, I used to go trick-or-treating, and I'd take my daughter and her friend, my friend and her daughter, and then we'd go all over town. We'd hit just pretty much every house in town in Princeton, because we could get around in the vehicle real quickly,
Right.
It was just loads of fun, watching all the little kids and seeing them in their costumes. And then, as I think about every year, we started out, and we hit like 2 houses, because she was just a baby. Then the next year, I kind of helped her, up the stairs a little bit. And then the next year, same thing, she was like, just walk in. And how we went throughout the years. You had to pick them up to put them on the machine.
Yeah.
Climb up there, with a step. And then they could just get up there. And then they didn't even want us to go.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it was fun, but it's nice memories. So I encourage everyone out there to enjoy the holiday with their children, and because it really is about indoctrinating another generation as much fun it is to scare their siblings and the neighbors, at least here.
Yeah. And, and realizing, like we're celebrating death. Yes, we are. There's nothing wrong with death. You know what I'm saying? It's a natural part of life. And I think that's part of the problem is we have made it so compartmentalized that everybody's scared to death to die.
I know.
But you know what? Actually, you're better off when you're not here. So,
But see, if they popularize, if people knew how great the afterlife might be, they would just want to just get there now, go. They wouldn't want to suffer through all this bullshit. But, suffering brings, character, in my opinion. That if you have to suffer for something, and that's payment with your soul, If you suffer through something and you learn hard lessons that you probably wouldn't have learned, in a situation that was comfy and soft, then I think that's invaluable. And really, what we're doing. And that's what I did for my child, too. There were times it did not make it easy for her, and I made her take the rough route. But she learned from that, and she thanked me later. So
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a good mother.
Well, yeah, thanks. I did my job.
Yeah.
Now I'm just singing, but and now it's time for some adult Halloween fun.
Yeah.
I was thinking of turning the she shop into a haunted house, for the night. Just, for that, do a seance or something. I think.
Yeah.
I think we might do a seance.
That would be fun.
Yeah. So, and because, I've been on kind of the ghost hunt mode this whole month. So I think I'm not quite done yet because I haven't really found any, I'm still looking.
Yeah.
Still open to that. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to do a bit more ghost hunting before the month is out.
Yep.
And the show has closed.
Yeah.
So, because All Hallows Eve is actually the 31st, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then that would be the day on which the veil is thinnest. So, yeah, for sure, going to do something that day.
Yeah.
Is that Monday night or Monday?
That's Monday.
Monday.
So that's Monday. Yeah. Yeah, and I've had a lot of people telling me that, like, them connecting with spirits has been so much stronger. Like they say it started about the 15th of October when the veil started thinning, right? And so it's just,
I've heard things, like I heard clear as day somebody say Bob's name. And so, but, I haven't really, I don't know if it's like a cognitive, we know we made contact with each other kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've been feeling things,
Yeah. Well, when you said that, the lights here started flickering.
Really?
Yeah, that usually means a spirit's trying to talk. So whatever it was, I think someone was trying to connect with you.
Yeah, I think there is someone out there trying to connect with me. And so I'm trying to be more receptive, and that's been a problem for me, receiving. I'm a great giver, but I'm not such a great receiver.
Yep.
I think I need to be more open to things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm working.
Yep. That's all we can do, right?
Yep. Working on receiving things. So I'm receiving some warmth and love from Bob right now.
Yeah.
As funny as it sounds, it's hard sometimes to even receive that from someone, to where, I can do for myself, or you're so independent or stubborn or whatever that, you just think, or maybe you're thinking, I'm not worthy of that, maybe you think I'm not worthy of being warm or being loved. And people subconsciously think that, And
absolutely.
You have to get rid of that and realize that receiving those things is worth, you are worth that, and you are, you should have that in your life. So everyone.
Yeah, and that's the part of the feminine that's coming in, right?
Yeah.
Like the masculinity doesn't offer that to us at all.
No.
But yeah, the feminine does. But it's hard. It is really hard. Like even today, well, Friday's our cleaning day at our house, right? And my husband was off today, and I was sweeping, and then he just insisted on grabbing the mop and mopping everything. And I'm like, no. I'm like, you go and you pay the bills and you make sure we have that. I'm like, you shouldn't have to mop. And he's like, no, you give and you're always, he's like, when do you get to stop? Yeah. You know, he's like, if you're going to say you need help, but then when people offer it, you're not going to take it. He's like, it's really not working.
And I do that, you know, it's like, God, I wish somebody would help me. But then when they offer, I'm like, oh no, I got it. I'm good.
Right. It's just like this conditioned response that we have.
I think so. And I think, you know, we, at least me, I was always trained to be independent and be you know, reliant, and that, you know, don't be needy, you know, get out there and do for yourself and take care of things yourself. And so then it's hard to accept help sometimes because I've been trained not to because it was too needy.
Right. It's seen as as almost a weakness.
Yes. It's seen
that we need it.
Yes. And then, but it's really not weakness. It's just being a human being.
Exactly. Like we all need nurtured. I mean, you think about.
Exactly.
Yeah, how much love do we give as mothers? Constantly rubbing someone's back or putting our hands through their hair or kissing a boo-boo.
You know, just telling them you're great, you know, don't listen to what other people say.
Right, but who does that for us?
Right. Exactly. I mean, you know, if we're lucky, our partner does, you know, our partner and says, oh, you're totally worthy.
Right, exactly. But I have the best husband in the world, but even I had to tell him, listen, dude.
Yeah.
I need that as well.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know, he took it and he's running with it and it's amazing. But sometimes we have to tell people.
Yes.
I need you to tell me that.
You have to tell people what it is we need from them, you know, because they didn't come to us knowing, you know, what we needed in our lives. And we didn't come to us knowing what we needed in our lives. And part of it was figuring out what we need in our lives and putting a name on it and putting a quantity on it and saying, I need this, you know, and this is what it's going to take for my life to run properly, you know. Right. And to find happiness within myself. This is what I have to have.
Right.
You know? And so I think then we can tell others what it is we require of them. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. To have a successful relationship.
Yep.
Yeah. It starts with really, I think. And a lot of women we put ourselves second, we put ourselves aside, and we put everyone else ahead of us. But by doing so, we've now diminished our capacity to love them and to care for them. And so I think we have to remember, put you first, you know.
Yeah.
Be to you and nurture you, and then you can be more nurturing to those around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today to the show? Anything you got coming up or any announcements or just a happy Halloween to everybody?
Yeah, just happy Halloween and, you know.
And remember, Lilith, you know, independence and, you know, don't let what others have said about something color your opinion of it. Go out there and figure out what's real and what's not.
Right. And even old stories that other people created for you or you created for yourself.
Yep.
They're not furthering where you're going. Change the story.
Yep. Create your own blueprint, right, Nellie?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So, all right. Well, you guys take it easy and blessed be and enjoy your holiday weekend and go out and spook up your neighborhood and but do it with love and as always, safe, sane, and consensual. Blessed be everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.